There we go. Hello, everybody. Another episode of Reintroducing the Art of Conversation. And like all my guests, but in particular this one, I'm very excited to have a conversation with a savvy businesswoman um, who really embodies the spirit of all things making it happen. Delighted to join by Michelle Kerrigan from Be at Home. Thank you, Michelle, for joining us.
Thank you.
Uh,
Lovely to be here.
Now, before I'm going to run through a little bio, some of our guests are always like, just knock my camera off. I'm not going through the mortification of all things that have been achieved, but you have achieved so much. You've really, as I said just now, really embody that spirit of just get up and go, make it happen, grit, resilience, fierceness in making things happen from A to B. So, for anybody who hasn't come across Michelle or Bia at home, let me just share a little bit about where she's coming from. She's dedicated and launched into her role of CEO at Bia at Home. And essentially, it's utilizing a range of locally sourced ingredients to produce nutritious and nourishing home cooked meals. Now, I can hear my friends, my close friends, saying, this is hilarious because Maria Walsh hasn't a clue what a pot is, never mind what a nutritious and delicious meal looks like. But Michelle's going to be guiding us through it, I promise. But Michelle has over 20 years of experience in food industry, and in 2018 took over Bia at Home. Michelle looked to the local enterprise office in Mayo for further support and has really built up resilience for her business, especially throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, which has impacted so many, but in particular women. I think more than, dare I say, more than, I shouldn't say dare I say more than any other gender, but there's an awful lot more responsibility, unfortunately, disproportionately affecting more women than men. Michelle has determined and was determined to expand the reach of Be at Home and is working to grow their online presence and brand recognition. Like many of you who are perhaps sitting around your own kitchen tables, trying to figure out post COVID-19 pandemic how to generate or start a business, I think this conversation will definitely be for you. She's a very, very successful track record. The future is always looking bright with Michelle around at Be at Home, and I'm really looking forward to delving into the journey, the strengths, the learns, the opportunities of what's current and what's ahead for Michelle and her business. So thank you very much, Michelle, for joining us.
Thanks. That was a great intro. I'm not sure if it's the same person you're talking about.
Did I miss anything? Did I cover
No.
everything? Okay,
Yes.
that's good. That's good. Acknowledgement to Katie, who works in my team, who does a deep dive into everybody's lives in prep of reintroducing the art of conversation, and then we have a chit chat about it, and then we pull answers together. But acknowledgement that it is an all female tribe, which I'm delighted to bring you on this Tuesday. But Michelle, coming back to you and Be at Home. Um, I'd love to start at the very beginning of where it all came from and how Michelle Kerrigan became the CEO of Be at Home.
Okay.
You've talked about the influence of your grandmother in particular on your career. And really, was that what inspired you to start this, or was it a combination of a lot of different things?
Well, 4 years ago, we moved home from Australia to be with family. I have two young boys, and we just said, we'd move home and settle in the west of Ireland. And I wanted a job that would be suitable around my family, that I wouldn't be working nights. Obviously, I love cooking, but chefs are mainly nighttime work, weekend work, all the holidays, all the special occasions. So I wanted something that would suit around my lifestyle with my children. I had done 15, 20 years of head chef in a place and I loved it, but it's not suitable for a family. So when we moved home, that was my target, that I wanted a job and a lifestyle that would suit me. And I started working for Be at Home, and then I ended up buying the business when I came from
Amazing.
Australia. So it happened. It happened very fast, and but it worked, and it worked for like everyday life. I don't have to do the weekends, and it suits my family life.
Mm. Well, it's amazing you say that because, often, often when I talk to young women in particular, in my role as MEP, it is the case of trying to narrow down what your non-negotiables are. and understanding where you want to place value at different sections of your life, and they evolve and change, no doubt, based on circumstance, based on opportunity, based on family developments, or caring responsibilities, or location. Now, with COVID-19, I think it's afforded us different mindsets and how we look at the way we work. But if you have non-negotiables like you had, like your family was incredibly important, so then how do you build a model to suit that? And I think that's an incredible lesson, for many of those that are, again, looking at opportunities, but equally like yourself, who are looking to
I
return
didn't
home.
want to stop cooking. Like, I love cooking and I love being a chef, and I didn't want to stop that. So I had to find something that was going to work for me, that would make I still want to cook and I still want to be a chef, but I don't want to work Saturday nights, Sunday nights, and so I had to make something work for me.
And then tell me then, where did the love of cooking that I clearly did not get, Michelle, where did that start for you?
Well, I definitely would say my grandmother, Mamie McGrath, was a ferocious cook, and she cooked for everybody, and her way of showing love was through cooking. And I hope I've got that. Like, I love to cook, and it does, for me, cooking is a form of love. And she cooked for everybody, and she showed us how to, like, when I was 5 and 6, making her apple tarts. She had the most amazing apple tarts. I don't think I'm anywhere close to as good as her, but I would definitely say that's where I definitely got my cooking skills from, is my granny.
Wow, that's amazing. And then for you, then, was it an instant, like, wow, that's me, and that's the type of journey I want to go on? And then
No, I went working. One summer, I went working in Ashford, and I was just kind of cleaning up and stuff. And one of the chefs kind of took an interest in me and said, you're into this. And then I just kind of started from there. And I ended up taking a year out and working in Ashford. And then I went on to do my apprenticeship.
Wow.
Yeah. So it
Can
was.
can you tell me, because we do have, we're having a shortfall in the food sector, and
Yeah.
long before COVID, we had issues with chefs and culinary experts. But can you talk a little bit about the apprenticeship model? Because it's not as if you rock into a restaurant and you're working side by side with the chef for a year. It's a long process.
It's a long process, yeah. And I do think at the moment, with the telly and all that, it looks very glamorous from the beginning to young chefs going in. But then when they get in there, it's not actually like that. And it's only glamorous for a very few, like, the Gordon Ramsays and the Jamie Olivers. Like, it's hard work, but you have to love it. If you don't love it, forget it.
Yeah.
Like, it is hard work, but you have to love it. But then that's for a lot of jobs. If you don't love them, don't do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. You
So
find your niche. I mean, I guess it's one of those careers, though, that if you do love it and things do work out, and you find your mentorship or an apprenticeship to grow into, your return on that investment is phenomenal, because we all eat,
yeah,
food, and
but
the
the
way
only
it's
thing,
produced and curated and made will forever be a need, an industry need.
yeah. But even for chefs that aren't in the industry anymore, they've learned skills that forever will use in their lives. Like, you need to cook forever for your family, for people. So even if they aren't in the industry anymore, they've still learned some huge life skills in learning how to cook, and those. So it's not lost, but it's hard for the industry when people don't stay in it.
Yeah, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. I know GMIT in Galway, Noon there, does phenomenal work at trying to raise, I guess, the stigma attached towards being within the food industry, and trying to get more and more people involved, and trying to get more grandmothers and grandfathers and family members to inspire and to ignite a passion of growing, and cooking and producing food, because we do have a shortfall in this sector. So shout out
Yeah.
to anybody who's thinking about it.
Yes. But you must love it. You must love it. That's, I would say, a love for it is very important.
Okay,
Very important.
then I can 100% take chef off my to do, wanting for my future. I can take that off my list. I'm a consumer. of food,
Okay.
not a preparer of food. That's what I
Oh,
like
I'm a
to tell my
consumer
mates.
too.
Yeah, it'd be better if I actually prepared. But sure, listen, there's great folks like yourself out there to do all that for us. But come here, on a more serious note, I want to hear more about Be at Home. Before joining Be at Home, um, obviously you shared there that you worked in the industry, long days, long nights, no set holidays, because when we were having holidays like celebrations, then you were in the kitchen preparing. So, um, was it an instant relationship find that you had with Be at Home, or was it something that you kind of had your eye on and thought, wow, I can work here and I can grow here?
I definitely knew I could grow here.
Okay.
Um, yeah, definitely. And then the opportunity came that they were selling the business, and I could tell there was huge potential in the business. So then, I wasn't. Are you ever ready to take over? I don't know. Um, and fair play to the lady that was selling it. She said, "Go for it. You're well able." And so I did. I gave it all, and yeah, and I'm very glad I did.
Yeah,
Very glad I did.
amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely been a great learning curve, and especially since COVID. And I worked throughout the whole lot of it. Thank God, because a lot of chefs weren't working, but I was really busy. But then I was prepared. I was online beforehand,
Mhm.
and I was ready from the day dot. From the day we went into lockdown, orders just flooded in, and
Phenomenal.
yeah,
Can
so
you
I
can you tell us before I move on to, because I want to hear a little bit more about your links with local enterprise office in prepping for online world. But can you tell us, what is it that Be at Home does? I should have asked this from the start. What is it that you all do, and produce and share to families and businesses?
so it's all home cooked food, like everyday food, like bacon and cabbage, um, Irish stew, home cooked, like that you get from your granny. I also have like tradition, other stuff like Thai curries and stuff like that, but it's all home cooked food. There's no artificial preservatives and nothing added to it. The only thing as a preservative, it's blast frozen, so it
Mhm.
loses no nutritional value. Um, then it's packaged, and then it's frozen, and it arrives to the person frozen. So they order it online and it arrives to their door frozen and goes straight in the oven from frozen.
And
So
your clientele is anybody from families to folks like myself, because I know I've talked to you about, in terms of, when you're traveling a lot and you're not at a set kitchen all the time, but you need to consume good food in order to show up in the way of work, or individuals who are living alone. Is that your clientele, or am I missing
yeah,
somebody?
so I have a lot of elderly people, and I have a lot of busy families. My busy family pack has gone crazy, I'd say, since people started working from home, and they just, if they're at home all day, you think you'd have time for cooking, but you're actually working. People have this notion just because you're working from home that you can cook the dinner as well. But like you finish work and they're just like, oh, we can't do it all. And it's okay to say you can't do it all. So like I've had an awful lot of busy family packs. And in that there's stuff suitable for children like spaghetti bologneses and cottage pies and everyday middle of the week food that you want just there when you finish work at 5 o'clock, just to be there, and you don't have to start into prepping food. So that's like that has become a huge thing. And another huge section for me is a new parent. So like because of grandparents weren't able to visit during COVID and all, they'd send a week's worth of food or a month's worth of food for a new parent, and that was massive because
That's amazing.
like,
That's a gorgeous idea.
yeah, so there's a new parent pack there on my site, and a lot of people would order that. And if it's your second or third child, there's only so many baby grows you can get. It's so much more valuable to have food.
Nutritious and delicious to have food sent to you.
Especially like, yeah, I was working with a lady that she's in breastfeeding Ireland there, that for mothers that are breastfeeding to be getting good food as well, wholesome good food. Like when you have a baby, it's very intense those first few weeks. You don't know what you're doing, like, so it's good to have the food just there, and you don't have to worry about it.
Amazing. You found niche markets that yeah, that you'd never think of within the
Yeah,
food industry. You would just imagine, well, food is there and prepared. I might be showing my ignorance, and people watching this might be screaming, going, "What? What kind of a sentiment is that?" But it's true. I mean, food is either in the fridge or on the table. But that just shows my ignorance of that's how food arrives.
yeah,
But when you have to go through, or you're going through a difficult transition or a new transition, or something exciting but taxing, having that structure to lean into and know that a well prepared, nutritious meal is on hand for you at any point. So shout out to anybody coming into our Christmas season, and I know we might chat to it before we wrap up. That's looking for an experience or a different type of a Christmas gift that Be at Home could really provide for new mums, for busy families, for yeah, just for individuals. Love it. Super cool.
yeah. No, it's definitely um, handy to have an option there all the time. When you're busy, and everybody's busy these days. Everybody's
Yeah.
busy. So
Absolutely. I'll be calling you. This is I should be adding my to my list of wishes and wants for family members. This is it. This is the hint. Um, but come here, Michelle. Tell me a little bit more about the local enterprise office in Mayo, who had helped you accelerate the business further. Because I think sometimes, listen, as someone who created a couple of businesses and they failed, getting from A to B is really difficult. And there is supports out there, but often to try and find them is really taxing. And when your time is short, you might be working full time and have a family, and then trying to develop this business that gives you real growth for an inspiration might be just a little bit hard to navigate around. So I'd love to hear what steps you've taken since working with them, and any kind of tips and advice that you might have for new businesses.
well, I would say, well, I don't know about the other enterprise office, but Mayo Enterprise Office has been really good and it's very supportive. So initially, back in 2019, they got me in on the ploughing championship. So I applied to get, and they got me a stand there, and I did the 3 days at the ploughing championship, and
Brilliant.
that was amazing exposure for me. And through that, they helped me get my online more up to scratch and have it. So then coming into COVID, I was ready and prepared. After the ploughing, we did, like, they got me the stand at the ploughing, and I had the 3 days there, which was brilliant. And then they helped me with my online after that.
Hmm.
Um, and then we kind of went into COVID, but I was ready because they have an
You had
online.
been through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had my online voucher and I had all the work done on my website and all that before COVID happened. And for me, then I was kind of a step ahead of all the other businesses because I had my online section ready and I was ready to go from the minute. And then through COVID, they've had great incentives there to help you. Like, they were on touch with me like a lot. So at the moment, I'm working with them to make my business greener with my packaging and stuff like that. Like, they're on there to help me to get that up to a level I want to be at, to be greener to the environment. And like, they've sent out a mentor to me, and he came into the business and went through my packaging and said, okay, this is an alternative for you, and this is an alternative for you. And you know, some of it
Ex-
works, some of it doesn't, but it's
yeah.
knowledge to get the knowledge from them, because
Mhm.
you can't be good like with everything. Like, that wouldn't be the strongest part of my business, and I need extra help for that. So it was good to have an expert come in and go through my business and see where I wasn't um, performing the best there.
Yeah, or that you just had opportunities to grow more
Yeah,
into. Plus, in terms of packaging, and for anybody tuned in, like, it's ever changing, and the consumers are demanding change, which is fantastic.
yeah,
But equally, we have to make sure businesses are caught up, and that they're, like you, Michelle, ready to go. So that's fantastic to hear they have expertise in areas where businesses might not feel the most knowledgeable, and that they can lean
yes,
into this opportunity. But to shout out to a lot of local enterprise offices, depending on what county you're in, sometimes they pool together. But back to the ploughing championship, I'm a big lover of the plough myself,
oh, it was
so I
really
love
good.
I love going into the local enterprise spaces, because they do they bring businesses, indigenous businesses together, startups, maybe year one or year two or year five together. And it's a way of like showcasing the county and the area that they represent. And it's a fantastic way to actually see what's out there. And as a business owner, then you get to network and see other blueprints. And then to your point, learn how other businesses are doing it so that you can grow your own business to be it compete or to become parallel based off the sector. I think that's a fantastic way to, yeah. So anybody give if you're in the Mayo area, local enterprise office is a good shout out. And I know for many other counties, it's
Yeah.
very, very similar.
Yeah, no, they were very good. They're very good. And they're always there for any information you need. And if they don't know it straight off, they'll get back to you. If they're not able to help straight away. No, I think they're very good, and they definitely have been a great asset to my business. Very good. No, I'm very happy with the help I get from them.
Shout out to everybody at the local enterprise office in Mayo. Delighted to hear. Thanks, Michelle. You've mentioned previously and throughout this in terms of the pandemic, which has been challenging on all of us, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. We're going through the rigmarole, but from a business standpoint, it has had its ups and downs. For I really, from a startup right to a 50-year-old business. I mean, it's really encapsulated a lot of challenges, but with that, a lot of opportunities. And I'd love to hear from a small business like yourself, how has it impacted being at home? I mean, you mentioned growth there, but was there any opportunities to learn and challenge yourself or pivot a business model that you thought wasn't working because of the pandemic?
Yeah, well, we definitely had to look at our supply chain through the pandemic because a lot of places around were closed. And I probably was one or two, only a few businesses. Obviously, I'm based in the west of Ireland, that were open in the town. Like there was only the local shops and stuff. So a lot of deliveries weren't coming to the town. So that was probably one of the hardest things to try and source stuff initially. As time went on and as we've got used to this, it's all fine again. But initially, sourcing stuff was quite hard because the deliveries weren't going. But my orders had increased, so I needed actually a higher demand.
More.
Yeah. Whereas, so that was initially a shock to try and get that. So, yeah, thank God my husband was able to pull in at that stage and go and get stuff for me, which is always good to have someone to back up, lean on when you need them. So yeah, no, it's definitely, and then it just because it became the norm for people to order stuff online. Whereas I don't think people would have been ordering clothes and stuff, but for ordering food, I don't think it was the everyday person would have been ordering food online.
Yeah.
So I think,
well, and in defense of that, it was probably never trialed and tested
no,
to the degree that you needed it to. So if you went into lockdown like yourself, if you were restricting, and you
yeah,
didn't have anybody to lean on in terms of buying, running to the grocery store or whatnot, then your business was the perfect fit for that.
yeah. And I was ready, which was a bonus, but I was ready for that. And yeah, so thank God, we have a small group here and we all kind of just stayed locked in together working, so that was good that we weren't with lots of people. So we were still able to keep going throughout lockdown. Yeah. But compared to other businesses, we were very lucky in that sense that, we were still able to work and it was thriving, but just to get the stuff here to us was the problem. But we got there and we got through it. So I'm very grateful.
Yeah, and then from and the positives from it, did you see, you mentioned there new moms or,
Yeah,
packages, but did you grow your business in any shape or form that you've seen, oh wow, that's a real need, and I'm seeing multiple orders like that, so that's a whole new package that we can develop, or is that part of that still growing?
I would say, the main part that grows is the busy family packs because an awful lot of people obviously started working from home.
Mm-hmm.
So my new parent pack is a thriving sector anyways in the business. But the new parent pack, when both parents were working from home and initially they didn't have childcare. So they were trying to work from home and childcare. So I would say the busy family pack probably thrived the most and still is thriving the most from people working at home that were trying to do childcare, trying to work and you
Trying
just
to be
can't.
a teacher, trying to be
Yeah.
the mind, trying to be all
So,
things to
yeah.
everybody.
So I think that was the area of the business that definitely grew the most, the busy family pack, because
Well, with that, it's fantastic to hear, Michelle, that and I mean, there's reports and enough statistics out there that home life over COVID predominantly and disproportionately affected women, more women than men, unfortunately, and that's a part of our history that cycle that we need to break and at least find some parallels that we're all carrying equal weight. But it's fantastic to hear that you know be it single moms or dads or partners or whatever your family unit looks like and takes shape as, that they leaned into the fact that they had this resource,
yeah,
and it wasn't I can be all things to all people. It's like, no, hang on, let me navigate what I can do and what I can't do, and then insert
take the
be at
pressure off.
home
You
to
can't
take
be
that
everything.
pressure. Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't be everything all the time. And it was very stressful for a lot of people working from home, with children, because it's not normal to have children in the mix when you're trying to work, anyways. And then trying to feed them and cook and shop. And it was just, yeah, I can understand why families needed the service. And I was delighted to supply it.
Yeah,
You know,
fantastic to hear.
yeah.
Can I ask, as a woman in business, as a business owner, as someone who lived away and then decided to return to the west of Ireland. Great to see more families like yourselves coming back. Um, what do you feel we need to do to promote more diversity in business, but in the sector you work in within food production?
Um,
Tough question.
Tough question. Yeah. It was for myself and my husband. It was we seem to have settled quite well, moving back to the west of Ireland. And I love the west of Ireland, and I'm from Cong, and I love Cong, and I love the woods, and um,
There's something very special about Kong, and it's not just the castle. I mean it's you couldn't get
yeah,
anything nicer than the castle. There's an energy about Kong that you can't find in many places.
yeah. I have to say, I love living there.
Mm.
Beautiful village. We've settled very well, but it's a hard transition. It's a hard transition. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm the one to ask what could you help with. Um, there is a lot of red tape coming home, like,
Yeah.
and that is hard to get through with, like, um PPS numbers, getting all that stuff. It's hard for people when they move home, originally, um but it's worth it. That's the only thing I will say. Do it
Yeah.
and don't regret. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but give it a go.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
that,
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Will
yeah,
only get you too far for sure.
yeah, you
Um,
definitely. I'm not sure how you could make it easier, but I do think, give it a go.
Fantastic. And then diversity within the food sector. Are you seeing a happy balance of men and women, or genders, whomever and however you identify? Are you seeing that, or it
Both
has the drop in the sector just been fierce on all?
I still think it's predominantly male, um, industry, and I that's why I would say a lot of people do drop out when they have children and
Mm.
families. It's a harder industry. I I don't know if there's a way that you could make it easier. I don't know. It's a hard one because people don't want to work the weekends and don't want to, and that's why I had to diversify for myself and get
Yeah.
a business that suited me. Um, yeah, but it is at the moment predominantly male in the industry.
Mm.
But
There's some really cool. There's some for shout out for anybody on a EU front. There's some really cool pilot projects being tested and trialed in Copenhagen, where couples who meet within the food sector are working, are making sure, whether they're in different businesses or the same business, they're working to make sure that both are off at the same time so they can actually have
okay,
some sort of a work life balance, which is actually pretty cool. I haven't seen recent reports on it, but I must check into it, in the case of how has reports gone on whether it's worked or whether people working in the industry has found that it's worked, and then trying to make sure that they work a 5-day work week, even if it includes weekends, but they have 2 days joint back to back off. So you're not like on a Monday and then your next day's off on a Friday, where you can get some life
Yeah.
administration done and all those great bits and pieces, that you can have some sort of work-life balance, and the right to disconnect is there. But I must I'll update some folks on that when I look into it more from an EU front. So, but that is being trial and tested in the likes of Copenhagen, but there is blueprints there for the future. But to your point, we need to just get more of those involved in order to grow and make sure we have
And
a growing sector.
loads of women and men discovered that they liked cooking because they had time. And
Yeah.
loads of people were baking bread and banana bread and sourdoughs.
Sourdough.
Yeah. And you can
I,
see like
I
lots.
wasn't I wasn't one of those people, Michelle. I just commented on it. I was just
But lots of people, I have noticed that like there's been lots of home bakeries and stuff that have started up since that. And that's brilliant because it's working around their lifestyles, and they're like working from home, but they're doing baking on the side because they found a love for it because they had time. And that's great. I think it's
yeah.
like great to see people baking again, because I think people have kind of stopped cooking big family meals, big family get-togethers. That's like, you all went to your granny's on a Sunday and all like, I think that has stopped in the world now. But I think people have learned to cook again through COVID because they
Yeah.
had the time.
The traditional and cultural elements are certainly arriving, which is fun, which is fantastic. Do you see, is your kids a part of the business Be at Home? Have they picked up what your grandmother has gifted you yet, or are you still trying to plant the seed?
I hope they have. Well, tonight is Toy Show night,
Hmm.
and they're cooking dinner for myself and my husband and their two grannies tonight.
Fabulous.
Yeah, before the toy show. They're doing
And
homemade pizzas tonight. So I hope they have picked up something. Um,
I love
the
it.
last time they did this was for Valentine's for myself and my husband. So tonight is there for four people. So that's a big step for them now, doing dinner for
And
four people.
I love it. So they prepared the menu. Is the dinner table being set, or is it like a buffet style where people are
Oh
coming and
no,
going?
no, they asked me this morning, could I take down the tablecloths and the
Amazing.
Christmas ones? Can I have the Christmas ones? And I said, yeah, I'll take them down for you. And yeah, so that's happening tonight. And they've the menu done. They're doing homemade pizzas and brownies. So they're making the brownies after school. But
Michelle,
I
if we were
they do it all
if we
the
weren't
same.
if we weren't to be restricted right now, I'd be over at your house for the kickoff of the toy show. That sounds delicious.
Yeah. But yeah, they're delighted. They're bringing the two grannies tonight. So this is their,
Gorgeous.
yeah. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. But I tell you what, it just goes to show you, when you celebrate it and you support it, where a young person can just grow their grow for, be it food or sewing, or the cultural and traditional elements that we have had and grown up with. I think that's phenomenal. Let me say finally, what has been the highlight of your time as CEO of Be at Home, and is there anything that we need to know before we disconnect today, that customers or potential customers need to know about yourselves at Be at Home?
Is there anything? The highlights. It's been amazing the journey that Bia has taken, and how much it's grown in the last 2 years. And I'm delighted the way the business has grown, and it's been very rewarding. It's hard work. There's good points and bad points, but that's to every business and every job and everybody's life. So that's just normal, I think. What could I let you know before we go? Everybody needs to eat every day. You, just make sure it's good, wholesome food you eat every day, and put good stuff into your body. And if that is ordering from me, then that's wonderful. Um, I don't know anything else.
Yeah, no, but no, to your point, you peppered it, my little cooking puns all throughout. You peppered it throughout our whole chat in terms of new parents, the family packs, those that are living on their own, those that are looking to start 2022 with, as you shared, nourishing their body. and making sure they have good food within them in order to keep up with the busy world that we live in. But ultimately, if you are trying to find and navigate your way from moving back home, wherever home might be, that there is, Michelle, you've really shone a light on, if you have a passion, if you work hard, it's not easy, you work hard, you connect with people like local enterprise office or different businesses throughout, you're prepared and well able to go. And if a pandemic hits, then you have the resilience to grow your business. And I think that you've really shed a light and shown that the grittiness of the west of Ireland woman is alive and well.
Oh, definitely. And definitely move back west. I do think people that say, oh, it's so far from everything. What do you need? I think the COVID-19, what do you actually need? You don't need all those extra stuff. Just having your friends and family around you, you're delighted.
And the woods of Cong, fresh air. What more could you want in life?
And the beautiful lakes.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Yeah. I feel like we'll have a banner ad saying sponsored by Fáilte Ireland or Tourism Ireland after this, with all the good stuff. But Michelle, I'm so grateful for your time, for your enthusiasm, and for really being honest and sharing about a sector that is, if you go online or read in the newspapers, is taking hard hits in terms of people not either leaving it or not getting involved in it. But you've really shed a light to, you can find you can build your purpose, your business, and your passion and combine them and put in key elements like, what are your non-negotiables, like you had. Family life was really important to you, and you can develop and grow a business in the west of Ireland. You don't have to be close to a city belt or close to the M50 to really thrive. And I think you're a picture of all the things that we need to be shouting about. And I say we in the policy world, in the politician world, but ultimately as West of Ireland women, I think we need to be champions and supportive of each other. So thank you, Michelle, for giving your time. I am very jealous of the two grannies and you and your husband for your dinner tonight. And
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, enjoy and mind yourself. And thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks you. Bye-bye.